All right, tribe, here we go. We're here on the gram. And I'm gonna do a little sound test before we get started. Make sure this thing is broadcasting right. I had to get rid of that. I can't stand them iPods, man. It just looks weird. They need to work on that design, but I got my earphones. So sometimes, last time I put these in, somebody said they were like, they couldn't hear it. It was too staticky. So I'm coming back again with these. And so if you're in that chat box right now, first of all, sending love. Thank you for joining in on Tribe and, putting up this beacon. But I need you to let me know if this is coming through clear. So, all right, somebody said we hear you. Thanks so much. And yeah, I came in here about 5 minutes early because I want to get some formalities out of the way so we start right at the top of the hour. Obviously, you're here. It's GLM, God Love Money. This is a new series that I put together that I'm really just going to keep creating, more interactive components inside of this. But I really wanted to get into this consistency of jumping in on the gram and really just delivering knowledge and building with the tribe and all of the family that's out here and vibing at this time, just really connecting. We're connected anyway, but, jumping on this and really being able to especially do the dual screen and chop it up with each other is amazing. So I have a little format today that I'm going to try to work with and see how it works with the time. The beauty of the Instagram and the reason why it works for me is that I'm going to be off this thing in 1 hour. That's going to help you and me, because with infinite knowledge and infinite wheel spinning, we could be here for 3 hours. But as I said before, we really want to be efficient and get as much in as possible and then get that connection happening. There's a question box here on the gram where you can literally type in your question. What I call episode 0, which happened yesterday, I didn't take any questions or anything, but today I will be doing rapid fire towards the end of our build and just try to get through as many questions as possible. So I have this format as 5 minutes on this introduction, which I'm getting in right now, and it's 15 minutes on, or up to 15 minutes on whatever the energetic, co-creative concept is coming through on for that point. And then we're going to have like a 25-minute, 30-minute where you get a chance to, if you wish, join in on the call. And we give you a 3-minute segment to, definitely come in, say what's up to everybody. And if you have a question, really get that question answered. And I just will ask everyone, because I don't want to be rude with you, but I feel like that at some point it's going to happen. So I'm just going to let you know, once you start exceeding that 3-minute point, I guess what we're going to do is we're going to let the audience say, keep going, just type in, keep going, if it's 7 minutes. But if we start getting to that point where it's over that point, let's say 3 minutes, and the audience isn't saying keep going, we gotta flip it. It's always an opportunity to come around again. And I just think we definitely have to have some kind of order or structure to what we're going to do, especially if we're going to fly through this thing, because this is really what the beauty of this is. I realized that when we came in 10 years ago and, I was fresh, just coming out of a massive awakening and now needing to realize what the heck just happened to me. It was really like, man, I came in with such a force, and obviously the Code of the Matrix was written, and we have just tons of stuff for everyone to still get knowledge with. Like, even to this day, some of the things that I built on then were just like even more relevant now than ever. However, after a period of just that consistent, being there on that mic and just delivering the message, I realized, man, I got to get to building this, because after scanning a lot of the conscious community at that point with Ashtar Command and all this stuff, they was playing with it. I was like, man, we need to build something. So obviously we went into building Secret Energy, and here we are with the tribe. But in that, I definitely would say for sure that my just being right there, answering questions, building with the beginning of the knowledge started to decrease at a certain point, and only adept stuff started coming out. So I also realized that there's still some new folks. Like, we have children every single day, so new people are coming into the message just like we did 10 years ago. And I feel like that we could go back around one more time again. For all of us, repetition still is a master teacher. So we come back around again, especially for the folks that just jumping in, and they're getting like, I don't know, they're getting a mixed message for sure, because some of the teachers are, they have some psychological issues. So I feel like coming back around in here and giving that blueprint to self is key. So that's really what GLM is about, God, Love, Money, because I feel like that in the maxims of things in life, those three topics really get a lot, like divinity, the God in you, as I mentioned, we know the etymology behind God. I use that word now only because it's a trigger, but, just what's happening with you on a spiritual level. And that's always primary, because when folks about to die, they, God, they real quick, oh my goodness, Jesus. When they really have to get serious for a moment, they start calling out divinity. So there's the first. Hopefully you call on yourself. That's what this ultimate training is about, is you bring that within and take that quirk of power and immediately go into action. However, some folks give it away and they call it divinity, and sometimes it show up for them. So, and then obviously love. Love is connection. Love is relationships. Love is, really what we want. It's everything. It's a fuel for us. So being able to manage your relationships and actually being able to get communication going on is paramount to everything. And even the whole connection that you have with yourself is communication, love. So they work really close together. And that's why I didn't even have to throw health and all that kind of other stuff in the title, because these are still the roots to even those things. Diet, that's important, but this is the root. And then money, it's come up, the elephant in the room. You know what I mean? There's a financial situation happening, like our energy, dealing in the fire culture, our energy is pushed out as, money, current, electricity, this kind of thing. And so we got to work, and work burns energy, work burns fuel. So money and how you regulate it, especially along with your consciousness, is a big one for me. And to me, it holds weight with all the others, because some of they always try to separate them. But to me, I'm like, man, if you can't figure out money, I don't think you can really hang in with the big picture of the whole thing, like all there is, because they're intrinsically linked. Anything that's here is intrinsically linked. It's definitely about, putting that stuff in its place at times. So that's what we're doing here. So that's my 5 minutes. I'm actually a little bit early because I'm 2 minutes after. So I want to get right into, just the foundation of what I wanted to build on today, literally the foundation, especially since we're kind of starting at 1 or starting at 0, and just realizing that, we need to correct a couple of the ideals that have been going on in the conscious community. And one of these is about, and also if I'm broadcasting, y'all from time to time say it looks good, because y'all know this technology. So sometimes things come out and I'll be here talking to myself, and that wouldn't be too fun for me after the show. So just type is good at some point, just if you're there. And so the launch pad, because our foundation is really what is key. Now, a lot of folks, they want to run off. As I've mentioned, they want to fly, but they don't even know how to land the plane yet. It's in the big ideals right now to just consume, to get as much as you can and, make it happen, grind, do it as young as possible. That's another thing, like do it young. So that's what makes time become a factor, because if I'm trying to do this right now. I'm trying to get this right now. So you turn on the quantum generator, and you got to make sure that you understand how much heat a quantum generator really produces. And heat, or fire in this case, is what that's going to do to your personality, what's that going to do to your attitude. And the deepest art of alchemy is simply to know how to balance those elements as you're going through this process. So truly the body itself is only a launch pad for what we would even call Kundalini or activation. But it doesn't take anything away from it at all. It basically makes it contingent that you have strong roots and that your body is strong mentally, physically, and spiritually. So that way, when you do take off, because Kundalini is like a gas, it's like a vapor. You could move around with Kundalini, and if somebody's watching, they can kind of see it as a vapor. So you leave the body though, but the body is still tethering the astral. Okay, so just to make it very simple, it's like you got a router and it's shooting out internet connection for a bunch of different sources. So your body is in many ways like that router, and the roots that are coming from your body are like it's the connections that it's making to be able to service the connection to you. So if you want me to put that in a different way, it is for sure like a tree, and the roots and the nutrients that the roots are picking up is responsible for distributing the power to the fruit and to grow the fruit. So in this case, Kundalini would be that fruit. Kundalini is an extension of us, very powerful extension, that still needs you to have a good base to be able to take off with it. So yes, there's a part of life that is about Kundalini, but truly, life, a lot of it is about the physical, the elements, earth, fire, wind, water, like these elements and these physical, because what we call physical are the elements, right? So it's about realizing how those elements are coming through you, and even how your food is changing your elements, how you think is what's changing your elements, your culture is changing your elements. And when you realize that and you sit in yourself and you say, well, I'm really looking for balance, you start looking in your life and you say, well, am I doing too much intelligence? Because intelligence is a lot of fire, right? So if there's a lot of intelligence going on, like your job just has you thinking all the time, then you have to also make sure that you balance that out with your water, which of course is like your dancing, your singing, and these kind of things. Because at any point, if the intelligence just gets too unbalanced, if you may, you're not going to feel like dancing. You're not going to feel like doing anything of the water trait. And then that, of course, is going to that's going to throw you off balance. It's going to start creating some impediments after a while. So that's one thing that, we're even going to be building on tomorrow. I guess it's Tribe Vibes. We come in. I just want to let everyone else here know it's virtually impossible to cram all the knowledge about Ennealogy and the body and alchemy and all this kind of stuff in even these kind of sessions, especially if we want it to be more of a dialogue. So we invite everyone to Sovereignty Mentorship. Obviously, if you have either a lack of trust, this means you just don't believe it, you think, maybe we're out to, take your money or something like that, or you just can't make it work financially, meaning that you just, hey, I don't got any money to dedicate towards that right now about self. We built specialist training for free. You can find it on the site, and you can start there, and then we basically bolt on real fast real things for you to be able to build finances, so that way you can stabilize your journey. And that includes supplements, that includes courses and all that. It would be, technically it's not on us, it's on the markets that make money. And so we gave you that component too. So I just want you to know in this conversation, we do have in our way sanctums. Like we feel like when someone comes and contributes energy, then the energy is balanced in a certain way. So we have to work with the governance that way. So what's next? After specialist training, ambassador training, what we call sovereignty mentorship. There, you just get more of the experience. Also, what we're doing is we're now in our final upgrade of Secret Energy. And in that, we're bringing in Ennealogy phase 1 and phase 2 also free inside of the chat. So this is literally about 3 to 4 months of getting you through the process of even starting from scratch, like even checking in the cabinet, making sure the fluoride's out, giving you the knowledge of what is the best water to drink based on your conditions, making sure you set a regimen, letting you understand how much it is important for you to still keep oxygen going through your body, whether that's meditation or working out. So all of that, again, that's like that day to day. And this is what makes the body so high maintenance, because when you start looking at all that, just like right now, if you're going to go and push the pleasure button, well, I'm going to gotta go downtown and take a look. I'm going to jump in the car, turn the music. I'm going to, spark up one. I'm going to go and do this. That's again, the rat pushing the pleasure button. You could do that a little bit, but you got to create some kind of formulation around what you're about. And you got to invest the time, you got to invest the energy in getting yourself, balanced, like we talked about earlier, right? And so it assists, since we're in 2020, it assists if maybe we start using these devices and using the things that we have that, really do certain things well, like notifications come in, that's great. Hey, take your supplements. Having something that basically gives you the benefit of many of these tools that we have around us that can help us in our communication and help us really get to where we're going. Not necessarily fast, because you're right on time. Fast can indeed be dangerous. Not necessarily fast, but actually still at a pace, because you are a quantum being, so you can get through this. You know this already. You just need to re-trigger some things, turn on some switches within the DNA, and bam, there you are. So that actually puts me at, the just understanding, as I said, the energy around this foundation, even this first presentation, if you may, is about realizing just how important that foundation is before you take off, and not like getting in this craze like, oh my goodness, if I don't activate, if I don't, because you want to see something here. This is almost, it's kind of almost like a dope addict. You know what I mean? They just want this. I want to fly out of the seat of my pants into another planetary system. And generally, if you've ever done that before, there's a point where you get just totally into that, and then there's periods where you just want to come back. And then it kind of settles into, why don't I do both, right? Because if you keep trying to like struggle against yourself and fight, am I going to be here on Earth? Or am I going to be where Kundalini is? Your concept of ascension. Am I going to be there? And I have to be in one or the other. You got to adapt a much more smoother flow, a more smoother kung fu with your consciousness, and realize that actually, there is a real blueprint here. It's this foundation. Let me work on this, because just like the floor, I'm going to have to walk on the floor all the time. I'm going to have to land on the floor. So let me get this whole floor, since we're always going to be in contact, let me get this together. And so that changes a lot about how we're even going at the knowledge that we're listening to. It changes a lot about what we could be subjected to by losing our common sense, just because we get in this desperation to achieve something that even the people sometimes that are exclaiming about it haven't achieved it themselves. They just read about it in a book and also gave that to themselves as a benchmarker and a milestone that they keep worrying about why they're not hitting or reaching, because more than likely the person that wrote the book hadn't reached it either. You find this buffoonery a lot, where when you start checking sources and saying, well, how did they get to that level of authority to be able to speak that way? You realize that, they had a master that they were listening to. They may have never even been able to achieve it themselves, but they got what I call artificial knowledge or artificial spirit, where they were reading about it and learning about it from that way, and they could tell other people about it. And even just hearing about it gets people excited. But of course, if we can't put the action with that, then it still ultimately fails us, because we never really get to what it actually is. We never become the I am. We just have conversations about it, right? So let's do this. Since that's in, let's go ahead and start one of my favorite parts of this, and start rotating the conversation a little bit and get some others in here to ask some questions and to say what's up, and just to connect. So let me look at this. I know that also when I jump into another screen, it kind of moves me a little bit, so I'm going to have to readjust my tripod here. I see also that, we got a lot of questions. So maybe, we hear from a few of the fam, and then we just start really going through these questions, because one of the things I really wanted the series to be packed with is like them 3-minute gems that you could just break up into different pieces if you need to, do even Russian roulette with one of them and just, turn it on or skip through it and get that message right for the day. But I wanted it to be really like more, if you may, dense with knowledge, with essence. So that's also for you. If you're going to jump on this line, I'll say this. If you're going to expand on some things, and promote expansion, it's great if you have some questions. All of us have a nice set of blueprint knowledge, so it's great to hear that. But just remember, like, this is really about getting others, or dialogue, getting others to actually hear, okay, this is how it works. And so just in respect of that. So here we go. I think it's also thanks. That's Yuka De Rojo saying I'm clear, because you're remembering that I said earlier, hey, just type in from time to time. Hey, it's getting, this and this. And then also sometimes people just type in here, I can't see. So I'll see that and just be like, oh my goodness. So it's good if others just be like, hey, I'm good over here. So let me see here. I'm going to go ahead and go to my screen here. So questions is questions. I guess there's like a search thing here. There's some emojis. And there are our viewers, and then there's our requesters. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in, let's see here. I'm trying to figure out where's the top of this. Okay, so yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I got Andrew Seeley coming in on this. And like I said, I might have to do an adjustment real quick to my mic or to my image. What's up? What's up, brother? Wholeness.
Blessings. How's it going?
Oh man, it's going. You see, I'm here, man. So obviously, it's still moving.
Yeah, yeah. Aren't we all, right? Moving and flowing on a daily basis.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Uh, Well, I had a question because it's something that I often am confronted by being an African American. I'm originally from Barbados. I too am currently here in Costa Rica, actually, which is a blessed place to be. But
Absolutely.
I teach
Pura
a lot
vida.
of yoga. Yeah, pura vida, right? I teach a ton of yoga online, and I'm often confronted by Black Americans who feel um, almost as if I have like some type of like privilege. And my question to you was, first off, do you identify with being Black? And then second off, do you feel that there is a solution for educating and uplifting our Black people to a higher elevation of seeing that really we're all in this together, no matter our race or our color? And then my third question is
Oh shit! It was
actually,
the first question. Okay, keep going, my man. I'm like, okay, I get the
because
gist. Go
this
ahead.
is my first time meeting you. This is my first time having the opportunity to interface with you. And honestly, I've been following your work for quite some time. And I'm one of those people, like, I stay in my zone, I do my thing, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
when I have the opportunity to connect, I'm like, let's make it potent.
Okay. I
um,
could dig it.
so the last thing that I wanted to ask you is, do you feel that um, race or lineage has a effect on how we're able to uplift our frequency within this lifetime?
Okay, yeah, you know what? That's good. I'm glad you're coming in here with the good stuff though, because that means that somebody is going to grow from this, right? So let's say, for instance, when I look at geometry, I see this procession, like maybe it starts at a circle, maybe it moves to a straight line, maybe a triangle, maybe a square from there, and then a pentagram, et cetera, right? So there's this like Russian doll kind of thing that goes on with the experience. So when we try to even look at life through the lens of just the racial, the new racial categories, because even if you're calling yourself an African, that was not what we were called. If you're calling yourself Israeli, that's not even what you were called. So, you know, I would have to like, just like what I would do with knowledge is I have to go right as close to the source as I can. And when I got an opportunity to do that, what I was brought in front of is elements. And what I was shown is how also people that you would even think were one element or supposed to be one element, or let's say supposed to be white, if they had adapted the culture and if they had adapted an ideal and even the food of another culture, that also starts to affect them. So they start to become a grade of something. And this new categorization, which is polarized as just black and white, it's not even including the whole spectrum at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not going to give the definitions that we would be looking for to try to even work through what is the ultimate goal of this whole process with us being together in the first place, right? So to answer the next question would then be, so is there a solution for this? Obviously, the solution exists before the problem. So
Mm-hmm.
what it's about is once we look at it just from an elemental level and say, okay, so what have these beings been subject to? If they are water beings, let's say, for instance, with those who are from Alkebulan or what now known as Africa, they are predominantly water beings, river beings. You see the snake, you see dancing, you see rituals, okay? And you see the mouth, you see the tongue, you see the flowing. So all of that, even now, is still prevalent within even the descendants of that particular force. So what they have to do is they have to look and say, am I getting too much? And in this case, fire. Am I drying out? And of course, our divine sisters and our divine feminine, which is also inside of us, is really what has to be looked at in relation to whether she's staying wet. Literally, like this is obviously a big theme going on right now in
Yeah.
the music, but it's also, behind all of that, what it's saying is that when you start seeing the tongue out of the mouth, that is actually a symbol of panting. Like when pets pant and the
Yeah.
tongue is out of the mouth is because they're thirsty. And we even use that term, she's thirsty, right?
Yeah.
So
They're
what
trying
this
to
is
cool themselves.
Right, exactly. So what this is about is the divine feminine has gotten too hot with the intelligence, if you may, like running corporate offices and all this kind of stuff, and needs to be in tune with things like working with the earth. And also remember, there's a divine feminine side of each being.
Oh,
So this
definitely.
helps because what happens is if a person starts to just imagine we're talking about human females, they may miss themselves if they happen to be a male, and vice versa. And then also, if, you know, within respect to order, there's a male, there's a female, then there's an androgynon. And most of the time, even physically, what we're really referring to when we say the divine feminine these days, we're actually referring to the androgynon. And that little slip in the data, if you may, would just allow a person to be at least one digit off, which is enough to not allow you to get turned on, right? So that's what it is. And now here's another thing. The implementation of the methods by which this awakening comes about, because, you know, we can plan it out, debate about it, and this could take a while. It takes us, when we learn these elements, right back to the roots. Like, the reason why even I haven't gone at specific things, even though I have brothers and sisters that have, like my brother Life at Chess and Community, working with inner city youth and really building from there and teaching them how to think when they move. When we start deploying any of this stuff for the masses, we also got to think that the masses is actually in an entirely different language. Once you put India and China together, that's actually outnumbers us. That makes us really the minority in this case in many ways. So if we don't have an adaptation for them, then, you know, we never really see that one idea of this whole total world ascension. We won't see it that way. And that's why it's important for us to also, you know, even come to terms with that and realize actually what we're doing. I mean, also everybody online, keep going. We want to move it up one level. Everyone increasing life one level, just to what that'll do, because this is a wheel, is it'll get it unstuck. And then from there, it's not such a big, giant leap for a person who's still in time and a person on the spectrum and needs maybe a few lives to a little bit more load up on the DNA to realize completely why they would want to draw closer to the center, or to draw center to the totality, to have that experience, right? So at the end of the day, you know, I'll say this and I'm done. The chosen thing, it has to be really understood, because it's dangerous. Like the chosen, because that's where there's the beef at right now, because quote unquote, even the chosen people, if you may feel like that they're not the chosen and that somebody else is in their spot of being chosen. And this by default mentally is psychologically displacing yourself. It's altering you from what you truly are. So what happens with all this is that if you ask yourself on the highest levels, what is the chosen, you learn is time. The master says inside, I ask, what is the chosen? It says time. And then with a little laugh, because it's watching you to see if you're going to go back into the duality, because you're going to go back in the washing machine, or if you're going to realize that actually every single being is going to come to, you know, whatever, I don't know, whatever level you're saying they're supposed to be, or whatever you're subjecting or projecting on them that they're supposed to even walk through or be in or act. They're going to get to that point, because that's what time does. And now it throws that question back on like self and like, but what's up with you? And so this is also what puts us in that position to have to create more things, so that you're not at points feeling like, you know, I got so much to do and so much to connect with, but I also need to plug in too, to make sure I'm growing in this. Because that's another thing that we're facing with, you know, just being like first responders, I guess, if you call them. You know, we on the scene, and it feels like it's taking a little bit of time for, you know, people to catch on. And then we also see other things that are somewhat very illusionary with, you know, how much other people are supposedly growing and projecting, even though their message is completely off balance. So all I'll say is, man, you know, you're here in Costa, obviously, you know, hit me up on the DMs, you know, and we can link up on some things, and we keep building with this. And everybody knows me, like, if it ain't there, then we need to create it. And that's what I got for that. Yes. So I trust, you know, that tighten things up for you. And man, thank you for coming here and really saying it as it is, and sparking that consciousness that we all need right now in this co-creation, right?
Yeah, I feel like what you said that resonated most with me is this concept of time, and also realizing that it's all happening within time, and that there is no specific time that we're all going to reach a certain level of consciousness. It just is all happening within this this diverse dimension of all that is. Yeah. And so with that being said, though, even when you were speaking about, you know, India and China being that they're in different languages, I would say the one language that we all do share is movement. And that is why I feel that yoga is one of the most incredible ways to uplift the vibration of the physical form and also the astral form through a deep understanding of mantra, movement, and thus embodying intention that transmits into this dimension. So I do appreciate your time, and I know that there's plenty of other people that got questions out there, so I want to be conscious of that. But thank you so much, and we'll continue to connect and continue the conversations.
Oh man, absolutely. Y'all check the brother out. I'm showing his page. He's teaching some knowledge. He's over there showing what it is. So let's respect that yoga like we respect that kung fu. Wholeness.
Always wholeness, blessings, peace.
All right. Okay, so that's what it is. It looks like we're getting into this and it's feeling really good. We're getting a lot of knowledge out. Let me just figure out how, because I couldn't figure it out yesterday. Stay on the line for me, brother, real quick, because I want to understand how I actually disconnect. I know it's probably giving you the option, but what if somebody come on, they're crazy, and I can't get them on? What do I do? You know what I mean? Hold on. Let me just figure out how that would work.
I'm pretty sure that there's I think that there's a little button and it shows you where all of the people are who have requested. So like the same place that you clicked for me, where it shows the different requests, and then you can choose from there, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be there, but it seems to disappear when I allow someone in. My pictures kind of come in. Just give me a second, though. I'm gonna figure this out because I just only got to push all the buttons. But there's one here.
I can also exit, and then you can see if someone else pops up.
No, don't do that. I saw that yesterday. Yeah, serious. I saw that yesterday. I was like, okay, I never did. I'm glad. I was like, okay, I'm glad. They hung up. See, there's an end button in the top right corner here, but I'm assuming that actually ends the entire stream, or at least it should. So okay, so yeah, I'll keep rolling it. But yeah, I definitely let me click the screen. So now I'm clicking the screen. Highlight.
Here, I'm gonna try and exit out and see if it pops up because I'm pretty sure there's a list.
Oh yeah, it'll pop up when you leave, but that'll come back. But what I'm saying is it's not here now, so this doesn't even give me a place to go back to, let's say, you, and then like say, okay, we're in conversation, and then go on to the next. But anyway, that's good. So I appreciate it, brother. I'll Google that tomorrow or have somebody check on it. We give thanks.
Well, I'm out. Blessings.
All right. Some say click his name. His name is not even popping up on the screen. The only thing there is comments. Ow! It pop up on the top. Yeah. All right. Maybe somebody can tell me your Instagram whiz out there. Like, let me know, where is it supposed to be at? So I go, oh, here. Okay. All right. I got you. I'll take that. Hey, what's wrong with that? Okay. So we're going to keep it going. Somebody said top corner. I'm going to check on it. That actually flips the camera around. The other one hits in. I'm telling you, man. Something up. Okay, so we're gonna bring in, let me see here, what we got on the top. Okay, so we're gonna bring in the doula goddess and spread some more wholeness here. See where we at. We have okay, I haven't used my clock at all, so I'm gonna use that now. Starting wholeness.
Sugar. It's fun.
Yeah.
He's real.
Y'all make me feel famous.
I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if he picked me? And then all of us, oh my God, wow, I'm so emotional.
Hey, I live in the jungle, so y'all make me feel famous. Like I never get that, so I'm like, so I did go into the grocery store one time, and the guy was like, "Are you?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm making it," But yeah, what's up, sis?
Oh my God, Saban, do you remember who this is? You guys did yoga together.
I was in how do you call it, Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember you when you were here, but I didn't do the Iboga though, because that's something you will remember.
Oh really?
I've only had
impression.
Oh yeah, I only had the microdose.
About it once.
Because I had the microdose, I came close, and I got friends that go all the way in. But for me right now, I'm like, okay, look, I'm still digesting my last journey. But yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I went all the way to Africa in the jungle with the Bwiti, right in the jungle there. That was pretty crazy, man.
Wow. So what are we doing these days? Like, where's knowledge taking you? Where's wisdom taking you?
Right to you, man. Right back to you, bro.
Oh man, we give thanks.
Everything added up. It added up. You are able to articulate it in a way where even shamans would agree. Period. I can't say nothing else.
Well, we should all be saying the same thing, right? At some point. Hey man, we all look alike though. This is a little weird. I'm like, yo, y'all got that filter on? It's like you can fit in with family. Right. What's up, tribe?
So Saban, I have lots of questions.
Yeah, she had a good question about. Yeah, go ahead.
The questions that I feel like I'm really coming to is I work as a doula. So I help women, of course, birth, and then helping taking care of their babies postpartum. But the biggest thing that I see is there is so much birth trauma. Like, it's incredible. Out of maybe 70 or 80 births, probably 65 of them or 68 of them are like completely horrific. And it's a very small percentage of people, even those who have an intention to do a home birth or what their intention is, it doesn't come out. And, you know, the insight that I get from my own spirit is that they're not making the rituals to create life, to have life, to bring in life and all that stuff. So my actual question is, what can women, or, you know, anyone who's looking to conceive, what are the things that they can do to get out of this entrapment? Because it's absolutely horrific. Like, working with all this all the time, I'm like so afraid to have a child. Even if I mean, you know, I don't have the liberty to leave the cities, and, you know, the cesarean rate cutting up and just normalizing this whole thing is, you know, I understand there's a medical emergency, but it's insane. It's like horrific what's happening. And will it get better? I don't know. I feel like even the conscious community they're even having issues, you know? So it's like, where does one draw the line? I mean, for me, I'm not working with spiritual, like, you know, yogis, or I'm not even spiritual, not working with yogis. I'm not working with people who are maybe working in alternative. I'm working with kind of the regular systemites in that way. And like, seeing them and then seeing people who are in our industry, it's like there's no difference. It's like you have to go through 3-4 birth traumas to figure out what you want. That's what I'm seeing. It's just, I'm just finding a loss of my words to even describe what exactly I'm supposed to do at this point now. Just watch, and how do you prepare?
Well, I feel what you're saying. So, you know, the first thing I would do is, you know, let's take a breath. You know, and let's ground it into the mother, because only she has the strength to endure something like this. They talk about how there are times when it's very tough times to have children. It speaks of this in many of the holy books. It talks about even, quote unquote, these last days, and, you know, what it would be like for even a woman to go through birth during these times, you know, unless, of course, that she was able to clean or clear out her womb. Okay. And this is where ultimately, to be honest, the greatest metaphysical achievement that we could have is to bring in safely the ultimate awareness of what the Tantra really does with the DNA through a woman's womb, to be able to give her the final solution, even if she's doing a lot of cleansing and she's changing her consciousness, the final solution in still cleaning out the trauma. Because the trauma is like inside of if you would say, like a pipe. And something has to, in this case, the male has this force, send the energy all the way up, and then allow it to come up, and then the sadness will start, the memories then will be replaced, and then it will clear, and then the womb will be clean, and then the birth won't carry the debt of what the chain, which is the DNA, what the chain is in debt with. And so obviously these are very serious matters. The forbidden fruit is indeed the knowledge about exactly how that works for someone to be able to do that kind of work. But just being aware of this, here's where, you know, I just want to be very direct here. The art itself of utilizing the tantric force, which again, a man doesn't even have to touch a woman to be able to do this, is extremely dangerous in the way that what you would feel from a person that is capable of doing this is you would feel so much comfort and so much connection with that kind of person. This is why it's generally your significant other, etc., right? Because if someone else is doing that and they lose balance of what their whole goal is in life and all that, it could be very dangerous. And it could be very dangerous with that person. And that's what
in any of the societies, that's all they work with in these secret societies, but they work with the inverted version, and their agenda is to keep inflicting damage to the womb. Also, anybody in the chat, keep going. To inflict the damage to the womb so that we do get this scenario, because ultimately, what are the babies being used for? Why is there continuous production of children here? And it's because, again, we're actually in a completely negative, what you would say, fire culture, and it does need the fuel. And as long as the fuel can keep coming in, the fire will keep coming. And so either we turn, and then of course the children, they're come in and they're turned right into, let's say, the components that the fuel needs to burn it the most, right? And so this is also the economy and how all that stuff is rigged together. So how do we even see on an energetic level? Like, we can go higher. If we can't depend on the physical man to do this, someone then must reach to the divine masculine behind man's eyes and establish a connection to become the catalyst to the transformation that a woman has to go through to be able to clear the energy. So this is like ultimate doula. This may be your path. Because then when the woman's going through this process, again, I'll just explain to you very carefully here, because it's not knowledge that's readily available. Also, since we're on women very briefly, I wanted to let women know that, especially when you're on your cycle, there are pads right now that you can just wash them off. And they're on Amazon. So they're like, you wear this pad, and instead of using these, all this stuff that they're giving you, this cotton with all these allergens, this plastic, and no telling what is in there, you use the pad, then you go and wash the pad out in nature, and then, and this is the cheapest method, but you get your energy out of the trash can, out of the sewage disposal, all the places where these negs really hang out, by putting it back in nature, and that's going to build more power and more force, right? And so also the what I wanted to get to earlier is so this process, how it works is again, it's a pipeline. So the man, in utilizing his tantric force, when he visualizes the woman's energy field, he utilizes his as above, so below. So in this case, her negative and her positive is your opposite pole. And so when you touch, then the energy field starts to pick up. The woman will then, through this process of feeling completely comfortable with this tantric male who knows how to do this, will then begin to go through her orgasm process. She'll feel the complete pleasure. The energy will reach a certain level, and then she will have a total meltdown, screaming, yelling. You may even have seen this completely in birth, because there is a Kundalini raising process that's happening there. So the woman goes and she experiences all the traumas and the pain. And now what is supposed to happen at this point, and this is what makes a tantric master, is they know how to comfort her with a field. Like the divine masculine puts a field on this like a blanket, allows her to go through this trauma but still feel safe. She will then see every time in her existence that the divine feminine has been abused, which is what's causing all the pain. But then all of those will be rewritten into what you could say is something pleasing, something that brings contentment, understanding, and then the womb is clean. Now, again, if we're looking at the male right now, we can see that the male is actually not out of puberty yet, because of not even understanding the power of this. And of course, that's why we're here, because the more we keep talking about this, the more others realize even what they've seen, because there are also people that have shown or demonstrated this power, but you may have not known exactly what you were looking at in the use. Now, here's another thing, last but not least. This use of clearing the energy of the womb through woman, and she goes into this orgasm, this is a very powerful use of it, but it's not the only use. And sometimes the male can be entrapped into that, because obviously just having a bunch of divine feminine around to, to feed into or balance out this force is, a huge pleasure tank. But that male would also have to know, and this is the divine masculine, that divine masculine has to know there's something even beyond this that this also can do. So don't get trapped into just the gratitudes of what it is that you would get from life if you were just able to achieve that. Keep moving. And so I trust that makes sense. It's enough for this. You already know the basics, the cleanse and, taking the right vitamins and, working with talking to the baby, the frequency. So I know you know all of that. So I'm just trying to take you to that point where there may be a few things left that you should consider. So that's what I have, sister. And tell those women, you know, quick fix right now, because our mother is a quantifier. Get rid of that pad, put the thing back into the earth where your house is, and tell the mother, you know, before you even about to go into the whole pregnant process, sow the seed. Because then, like, nothing is more powerful than that, because we can't actually think of anything that is not capable of doing.
Of
That's
course.
how this whole construct is. But it's also, there's a force to this, and that's why the water, the force of water moves in the blood. Blood is the water element. So that having the blood there and then having nature there and having the intention there, that's a corporation. That's actually being able to create something that will still serve the command that you give it. And if the command is design yourself so that way my birth is smooth, now the Elementor, which is what that is, will only achieve that purpose and will fulfill that purpose based on the energetic potential that was put in it. That's real mysticism, you know,
Beautiful.
but moving the mist. All right, sister. Well, that's what we got.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Man, we give thanks. It was great to connect, you know, also, you know, to that divine king over there, sending love, you know, honor, you know, let's keep it going. You know,
Are
I'll
you
see you when
still
you touch
doing
base.
the retreats, brother, over there?
Well, you know, sure, everything changed now. So, you know,
I know.
we're thinking of something more massive. We're like talking about like basically a retreat center. And I was talking to my brother Soul about this, you know, retreat center with what we found to work, you know, and but also, you know, if you just come and people are just coming from zero,
Yeah,
or
no,
actually
true.
the negatives, actually
Got
they're coming from
different
the negative.
levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
progress is difficult. So
Yeah.
it's like a process, because even now, that's what we've been doing is we've been looking at, hey, what's square one? Because we were building a bridge here. We have to build a bridge from where everybody gets on at. So
Yeah.
we have been working with this process that you could go through that makes it also worth it. Because if you come in and you're not ready to go on this is a waste of time, energy, resources. So just integrity, right? Like setting
Yeah.
it up. You'll go through this first before you even touch ground. And then I trust that in Costa Rica, man, there's a website I was looking at the other day. All of this is for sale. The whole beach, the whole this. And also, you know, the type of money that's rolling through the world, Crunchbase, you see these companies evaluation 100, 200 million. We're talking about 10 million. We're talking about 5 million, the whole
Yeah.
thing. So
I know.
I do see soon, especially
The
as we move
potential.
into this air ether next year or at the end of this year, that the vision is there to do it. Now breathing life into it. And that's not even just the resources, because that's kind of about timing. It's like the infrastructure itself. Just like when I was in the Institute, it took a lot to run the Institute because we knew what kind of people were coming in, and we didn't underestimate that. There was never like
Yeah.
we're going to just get as many people as possible. And so just having the right kind of staff to keep those protocols really in place
Yeah.
is key.
That's
But as I said,
that's the key.
a lot of people can do that work really, you know, in this, you know, this virtual environment is great. We're already connected on the astral. We always will be. But
Yeah.
this is great to start that process. So then when we come in, we already know that we're coming in on that common ground. So that's what the vision and the projection is saying right now. So hopefully that co-creation comes to manifestation, depending
Yeah,
upon
I
how
know.
the community
I got a
feels.
couple of friends who opened the Boga Wellness Center in Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what years ago, I started realizing, man, I got to go there, you know? It's something about Costa Rica. I will be visiting there again. Are you taking
Definitely.
any guests there if we come to visit?
If you come into the space and that thing come into alignment, just like we jump on the line today, we'll be sitting right there. You can ask folks, they see me. I'm all over the place, and you know, and then I'm everywhere in the dream too. So we'll get
Amazing.
it.
Thank you,
so
brother.
much, Savon.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
hope to see you
Own
soon,
it.
man. We're planning a vacation there, so take
No
care,
doubt.
man. Bye.
Send the love.
Yeah.
Do you want me to help you close it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Sorry.
I
You
feel
know everything
vulnerable here.
else.
She's good
I
Let
at
feel
us
it.
have the
vulnerable.
Instagram. You know everything else.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's not here. I'm telling you. So, but that's cool. They're doing that to me because they're like, yeah, we want him to have a little bit of vulnerability here. So I was like, okay, let's see what that does for my elements. So there it is, Sister Wholeness.
Thank you, Wholeness.
All right. All right. So for anybody else, if you think you're gonna come over here and act all crazy, I will hit the end button on this entire thing. So anyway, no, I'm joking. Actually, I'm not. 25 minutes for questions. So let's see. Oh man, we had 7:44. So look, remember the beauty of this is Instagram don't play that game. Like they cut this thing off at an hour because you know how infinite knowledge, infinite wills work. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start hitting some of these questions up real quick. So those that came in don't feel like they just like typing for nothing. This first question, and this is rapid fire. We activating that. My youngest daughter is crying because she wants to say hi to you live. Oh man, come on. You're doing it like that. You're doing it like that. Hold on. Come on, man. We can't have the kids crying. You got to promise 2 minutes though, Aisha. You got to promise 2 minutes. Hold on. Let me see. We can't have the kids crying like that. Where is this at? Okay, boom, 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 boom. Come on, how you not gonna be in the accepted thing? No, you gotta be in the request box. I'm gonna come back or forward as always. Say, no, there you are. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can do this. Let me see if I can add you myself. She may have got off the line. The daughter may have just got upset. What's up, Sister Wholeness? Are you there? Okay, so now we're waiting on her. So you know, at least I tried. When you come back to this, don't come back banging on me. I opened up the mic. So here it is. And then, of course, you know, we always have, you know, infinite future, since infinity is not enough for us. So let's go to the questions. Next question is, and this one's, I guess when you type a lot in the question, it makes it real small. So I had to come in here. Do you identify with being Black? Okay, so that was our brother. I think he was talking about that earlier, and I feel like we really got through that, so we can see where that is. Do I identify with, the final answer, simple, identify with the elements. And that's where I'm at, working with keeping that balance. I can't see because my request to join hasn't accepted. Call tech support. That's not me. My birthday is 4/4/77. Does that compass characteristic of Rahu and Ketu? That's 4. That's big Rahu. Figure it out. You know, sink or swim. You know, 2020. This is it. You know, all that energy. Do something with it. Definitely, if you want to check this out, you know, even what we're talking about, when we say Rahu, Ketu, when we talk about Ennealogy, all this kind of stuff is definitely on the site, and we give a lot of pointers to, you know, how to go into yourself, because we've discovered over time that there have been many masters, many lives, many masters, but most importantly, a language that has come from the stars that dictates a lot of what goes on in this program. And when you come into inception, and this is the conceiving point, when you come into the conceptual point in the planet, you're marked for one moment in that space, in that time, and the elements that are there in that space, they are utilized to form who you are right here. And so we can look back through that, or into it, I'll say, and actually get some deep knowledge about ourselves. And that's Ennealogy. Okay, so someone says, I'd like to know on this. Hold on. Oh, actually, this is going to end a little bit earlier than I thought, because I came in here 5 minutes early. Yeah, so I'm glad, because I would have been caught slipping. Like, what? It cut off. Where should my awareness be all the time? I perceive shapes, forms, colors, and time. Okay? That's a little open-ended. Like, you asked me where your awareness should be. How can I vibrate in supreme infinite consciousness right now? Turn off YouTube. Turn off Facebook. Turn off Instagram. Get into meditation. That's how you can do that, realizing the I am. But if you need the step by step, you know, that's, you know, it's going to take you the time. That's the answer to that question. Make the investment in self. Like, really know you got to put out that time to really develop that, and that it's not, as I said earlier in this conversation, a craze, because what you're going for, you really don't want to cut that thing on or tap into that and not be prepared, or it kind of scars you. It even deters you from doing it again. So fools rush in, but get yourself ready to go through the entire discipline, man. Think of the samurai, you know, or long extensions of training where there's a reward that consistently shows itself to you as you keep gaining, you know, your level of mastery. So, you know, that's what it is. It sounds like a young question. So I'd like to know about how to utilize a cosmic download. Well, first of all, I can only say you can know that because you are interpreting that. Generally, the cosmic download comes in like a ringing in the ear. You take a moment when you hear that ringing and you tune into it, you hear that frequency. The download, once it's done, is there, and you can immediately begin to reflect on it and start decrypting it, which takes a honed in consciousness to be able to not allow the mind to be disturbed. And that's why meditation works so well, because the art of meditation is actually not to think anything or say anything. There are guided meditations, as they call it, but the whole goal, again, of training is to allow the mind to be as close to being as still as possible. Somebody says, what do you think about Beyonce Black is King? Man, this was so weird, this thing. It even was creeping in folks' dream that I know about. I didn't see it, but there was a recognition that, yo, something is a little off with What it is right now is what's being worked on is the network that we all utilize in our dream. That network is constantly being hacked right now when everybody watches something or believes in something. Like I said, COVID slipping into the dream. You're in the dream and you're like, yo, I'll go too close. Y'all may have COVID. SARS, smallpox is not in the dream. You generally don't be dreaming like, oh my goodness, I don't want to catch a cold from this person. So when disease starts to enter into the dream, it's only because the entire hive is being diseased. And that's being done because everybody's sitting at home, so they're all watching the same thing. And so when this kind of stuff, when Beyonce does a seance and they do a broadcast and cast a big spell, then you obviously can see, because these people have not done anything compared to the amount of money they have, where their alignments actually are. Because me, I'm just this person, I'm coming into the levels of knowledge. If I had the ability to really go through my life and have the resources that is necessary to find out things, then I would be doing what I'm doing exactly now. So I give those kind of people who've taken a position of leadership and authority that same responsibility to do that. And so that's not what I'm seeing. Also in the symbolism and things, I'm seeing a lot of affiliation. So you know what it is from there, and you know what I think about it. The next thing is the benefits of She Legit. Should I eat this on a vegan diet only? It doesn't matter what kind of diet that you're on, obviously, meaning, let me say that specifically, because I definitely don't condone folks going out and going in on a cheeseburger or something like that really crazy, and it's okay. You know, you need to really look at what you're eating and let your intuition tell you, because your body will tell you, should I be putting this in my system? But you can use that She Legit as a super vitamin. Somebody saying, get me on, yo, get me on. Well, that window closed up a little bit, but we got more time for this. That's what makes this, you know, something for us. GLM, God Love Money. It's the time where we come in, we build all the way, starting from the bottom to the bridge to where we need to go, and we link with Tribe while we're on our way. We got 4 minutes left. Let's see how many questions I can get through. How does Wealthy Bot coheat for the Wall Street paradox? I just don't know this word coheat. I just don't know. And I'm trying to remember, because on Scrabble, I would try to put that on there, but I think when we went to the dictionary, that wasn't a word. So I can't answer that question because I don't really understand what you're saying. So the next one is for a while ago. You said in 2020 is a year of sovereign. Where do you foresee to take place in the last quarter of this year? Wholeness. We're going in the air. And I think, Tommy, you're actually part of Ambassador Training. So we're going to be getting in on tomorrow. And we've been doing this, a succession of realizing how all these components play and what their real ID and definitions are. And so you'll see what going into the air means and how you can adjust your space to get ready to go into the air, and what things are not going to be available anymore and what things are going to open up because of the shift to that element on a cosmic scale. That's what we're dealing with. So this next question is there a technique to utilize after over oxygenating your body, specifically for breakthrough? I notice when I do intense breath work, I end up completely, and then the question goes on and on and on. I'm just saying, hey, man, breathe easy. Literally breathe easy. Like, you know, really, because when you start pulsing these ventricles and stuff, you're going to need this 20 or 30 years later. So you don't want to send too much energetics over there. So it's just, you know, that tutelage, it's the whole thing, because if the body is overheating and you don't have the water element, dance, you know what I mean? Happiness, you know, family connection, grounding, all of that is just only one fuel. You need to, you know, get the whole mixture. It's a formula. Okay. 2 more minutes. I noticed chemtrails accelerating during full moon cycle. Any thoughts of why? Not this time, you know, it's an enigma in itself. I could tell you, spend the next 2 hours on chemtrails. So this is what it is, Tribe. It's been real. I love this. I love the platform. I love the connection. I'm drinking water. Thanks somebody saying that. I'm drinking water. It's not that lean. No, we ain't doing that over here. It's not that cup. So this is beautiful. It's a perfect platform for me to come in here, share with you, and to connect with you. I'm Seven Bomar. Check us out at Secret Energy. Links in the description. Sending much love to everybody. We'll talk soon. Thanks for tuning in. GLM. That's God Love Money and those kind of things. Wholeness.